A major so-called ransomware attack is underway worldwide, with more than 75,000 attacks reported. Now, this particular map right here shows where the attacks are taking place, with 99 countries now affected by this virus. That's according to security software company Avast. The malware displays a screen demanding $300 and the cyber currency Bitcoin from the owners of the affected computers. So let's have a look. How does this ransomware work? Now, it locks the device, a computer, smartphone or a tablet, and then demands money to unlock it. It encrypts the hard drive so you can't retrieve any data stored there. And even if you pay the ransom, that doesn't guarantee you will get all your data back. In the UK, it's targeted state-run hospitals, and companies from the USA, Spain and Portugal were also hacked during this attack.
A number of NHS organizations have reported to NHS Digital that they have been affected by a ransomware attack. NHS Digital is working closely with the National Cybersecurity Centre, the Department of Health and NHS England to support affected organizations and ensure patient safety is protected.
Like many other companies, FedEx is experiencing interference with some of our Windows-based systems caused by malware. We're implementing remediation steps as quickly as possible.
We were the target of an attack, like what is happening in all of Europe, a large-scale attack, but none of our services were affected.
Telefonica detected a cybersecurity incident affecting the PCs of some employees within the company's internal corporate network. Telefonica immediately activated the security protocols for this type of incident in order to resolve the problem as soon as possible.
This is absolutely unprecedented, and it does seem to have a lot of people spooked. The National Security Services, they sent a very technical report advising people the usual precautions, but also not to give in or pay any of the ransoms. There have been tweets by the thousands all day from people saying that they were employees in these particular companies, all major companies including banks, who've later categorically denied it, but the employees sent out a lot of unconfirmed reports saying that the attack was actually quite massive.
Our correspondents in London and Washington have more on who could be responsible for the tools used in the attacks.
Well, what started as a fairly local, then a national incident affecting just NHS computer systems rapidly turned into a massive global incident. Hospitals and GP surgeries across the UK, in North, the South East and London have been affected with hospitals and GP surgeries being unable to access patient records, their telephone systems or even some X-ray equipment. They've been forced to turn away many patients from their routine appointments and told people only to come in strictly for emergency situations, even ambulances being rediverted to other locations. Now, information so far indicates that this is a criminal incident. The National Crime Agency, the National Cybersecurity Centre have so far ruled out an attack or interference by a foreign power, which we've heard allegations, of course, over the last weeks and months levelled at certain countries. They have ruled that out, and an NHS spokesman had this to say on exactly what's been going on and what's being done right now to tackle this incident.
FedEx at the moment supporting organisations to manage the incident, and we'll continue to communicate with our colleagues and share the information as more comes available. At the moment, we've got 16 organisations that have been affected by the issue, but there's no more I can say about what the actual damage is.
Now, information so far indicates that this is a malware called WannaCry. As you said earlier, it's a program which effectively hijacks the computer system used by the user, demanding a ransom, in this case $300 in bitcoins, to be sent to an online wallet before the data is released. The big concern, of course, among people and patients here has been the access to data. The NHS system contains much sensitive information, from medical records to national insurance numbers, payment details. There was a lot of concern about if that had been exposed. So far, NHS sources say there's no evidence to suggest that that has happened. Nevertheless, though, a very concerning incident both here in the UK and across the wider world. As the Prime Minister Theresa May said, this was not an attack specifically targeting the NHS, but as part of a much wider, major global incident, something unprecedented really in the last few months and years of cyber attacks.
In response to the hacking attack, we have world-famous whistleblower Edward Snowden speaking up on Twitter. He writes, "Whoa, NSA decision to build attack tools targeting U.S. software now threaten the lives of hospital patients." It seems he's referring to the fact that this technology that's being used, this malware software known as ransomware that encrypts data and then demands ransom in order to give the data back to the institution or individual being hacked. It's known as ransomware, and it was developed by the U.S. government. The NSA, the National Security Agency, apparently developed this software with their own research and with their own investigations and financed projects, and it was then leaked onto the internet by shadow brokers, which is a shady group that has been leaking NSA hacking tools onto the internet. So it seems this is also not the first time that ransomware has been used. Apparently, ransomware has affected, it's been used against hospitals and telecommunications companies in Europe, in Russia, in various parts of Asia, and even in Los Angeles. Just over a year ago, a hospital in Los Angeles was targeted with a ransomware attack and paid over $17,000 in ransom to get its encrypted information back. So apparently this is happening all over the world, and this is technology that was developed by the National Security Agency, by the U.S. government agency said to protect the security of Americans. The National Security Agency developed this software, and it's now being used by criminals around the world to demand ransom. Very, very interesting discovery and development.
RT correspondent Miguel Francis Santiago spoke with us earlier about how the media's obsession with Russia may have distracted attention from real threats.
Really surprising for many people in this particular story is that for quite a long time we've heard Russian hackers, Russian hackers, Russian hackers. No details, just that they're hackers and they're Russian and they influence elections and whatnot. But today, 74 nations, 45,000 attacks and counting, fell victim to an unprecedented attack. I mean, we've never seen anything of this magnitude. Now, have we? Who's behind these attacks? We don't know. But see, this sort of attack shows that sometimes it's not good to run after this sort of Russian hacking boogeyman, preparing for the supposed Russian hacking threat. And what happens in the end? Well, countries tend to overlook other threats because their attention is shifted to something else. Russia's Ministry of Internal Affairs came under attack. Windows-operated computers of the ministry, almost 1,000 of them have been affected and blocked immediately. And the virus is localized as of now, and work is being done to remove it. Also, Russian major telecom provider Megafon has been attacked as well, with their PR director, Mr. Lidov, telling us the attack as it happened when their call centers experienced a shutdown because all the computers were all of a sudden hit with a screen asking for $300 in ransom, or all the information would be deleted. Now, as far as right now, the situation in Megafon is stable. They're back online and fully operational with no financial losses as of yet, just the call center temporary shutdown for the customers calling in. Also, Wimpelcom, another major telecom company in Russia, also has been hit, but successfully defended itself against the attacks, as we know so far. Now, according to the Kaspersky Lab report, a lot more companies have succumbed to this attack, and perhaps not all are going public yet, but we will keep you updated as we know more.
For more on the attacks, we can now speak live to John Safa, who is a former hacker. Welcome to the program here on RT International. Now, how was this attack able to impact so many countries? Aren't computers somehow protected with antivirus software, or can hackers always find a way around these defenses?
From what I'm hearing, and I think I actually was on your show a month ago, and I said my gravest concern is the information that's leaking from the NSA and the WikiLeaks information actually educates a lot of hackers into quite sophisticated attack techniques. And the way this has spread is there's been a backdoor found in Windows that has allowed other machines to be infected very easily without having to send files around, which normally is what happens when a virus attacks. How this is proliferated in the organizations is via documents or content that has malicious malware embedded in it. And it's very difficult to actually trace because we all use content in our daily lives.
But could you give some kind of advice to our viewers on how to possibly defend themselves from these kind of attacks?
Yeah, I think obviously you just have to use common sense. The greatest security threats actually are from human behavior. So opening files that you've been sent that look suspicious. I think also what I understand is that some of the machines in question haven't been upgraded with the latest patches of Microsoft Windows, which allowed the threat to spread much more faster. So obviously it's keeping things up to date, and obviously, you know, being aware when you're online that content that is sent to you sometimes isn't safe.
Well, we've heard from several reports that tools developed by the NSA could be responsible. Would the hackers need any special knowledge to use this kind of technology?
No, not at all. I mean, I think, you know, if you think about it, some of the security organizations have very detailed information into vulnerabilities into both hardware and software that we run on a daily basis. And, you know, obviously they're educating hackers that typically wouldn't have the technical savvy abilities to be able to break into these things. And so obviously they accelerate their knowledge and also exploit vulnerabilities that leaked documents provide. So it's a significant issue when hackers do get this kind of information.
Well, the files stored on hacked computers are said to be inaccessible until the ransom is paid, but it should be paid in bitcoins. Why bitcoins?
Because bitcoins are anonymous. I mean, you know, if you have to transfer some money to a bank account, then obviously you have banking details, and it's very easy to shut that hole down. Bitcoins is a little bit more anonymous, and it's more harder to trace where that money's going to.
All right, now we've seen a wide range of targets from hospitals in the UK up to Russia's Ministry of Internal Affairs. All these targets have been hit. Is it strange from your perspective that we're seeing such a wide range of these targets?
I'm not surprised. I think the vulnerability that was found was, you know, exposed a very big hole to allow this thing to spread. I actually also think the hackers probably didn't anticipate it going this far. This is typically what happens: is they find a really good hole and then obviously exploit it. But this thing has gone so viral so quickly, and we've seen these in the past with viruses that spread very quickly. But obviously, computer systems and mobile systems are so much prevalent in our lifestyles now that it is going to spread much faster. Doesn't surprise me whatsoever, to be honest.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your insight with us here on RT International. That was John Safa, a former hacker. Thank you again.